Alright, welcome back. More Audit the Audit, more Minecraft. I'm having so much fun with this series. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. I said I need to make a farm. I'm going to do that.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out
want to finish this bridge first, though, and that requires cobblestone. So I'm going to go back down in the mine for a bit longer.
Reckless driving, and is brought to us by
maybe try and see if I can find.
Check out the description below and give them the
I'll
credit
probably go like
deserve.
just
On May
above
10th, 2019,
the deep slate and mine up
and his
cobblestone.
wife Brittany were driving behind Arkansas State Police
Right
Trooper
about
Ryan
here.
Wingo in Hot Springs, Arkansas, when Trooper Wingo made a sudden U-turn to attempt to pursue a vehicle traveling the opposite direction that was allegedly speeding. Mr. Donner honked his horn at Trooper Wingo, and Trooper Wingo responded by making a full 360-degree turn, passing another vehicle and pulling behind Mr. Donner with his lights flashing. When Mr. Donner pulled to the right side of the road and stopped his vehicle, Trooper Wingo crashed into him with his cruiser.
Jeez. Holy crap.
Pull into the parking lot. Pull into the parking lot.
Oh, I was just thinking, wow, I'm gonna need more coal.
60 Knot Springs. Go and send one of the normal units over here to the...
Oh, and redstone. There you go.
shoe factory. Had a car slam on the brakes in front of me.
Ha! Ha ha! Had a car slam his brakes in front of me. That's funny. Wow.
2429. License, registration, insurance, sir.
Yeah, sure. Why are you pulling me over?
Because you're following me too closely and nearly ran into me.
No, I did not. You slammed on your brakes. You had no brake. You had no turn signal or nothing.
I had to turn around on the car without speeding. I'm doing my job out here, sir. Give me your license.
You hit me. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll see you in court, dude. Take it on. Look at my car.
Hey, take a seat in the car for right now. We're on a traffic stop right now.
Hey,
okay?
Shit. You hit my fucking car.
We're on a traffic stop right now.
Out here.
I want to see the damage done to my vehicle.
Give me a minute. We're on a traffic stop right now. Once I get done with my traffic stop, for following too closely.
I was not following too close. Clearly you were. You hit me.
You stopped in the middle of a roadway, sir.
No, you
I didn't stop. I got over and I was in the lane.
Yo, more capping. I knew this was gonna be above.
You slammed on your
So
gas.
glad I found it.
You hit us.
Okay.
Oh.
So, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I told you why I stopped you because you were following me too closely.
But I wasn't. But
okay.
We'll see in court.
Okay. Do you have an ID on you, ma'am?
I sure do.
You don't need her ID.
Yes, I do actually for the accident report that you so want, sir.
Yes.
I do want it.
Okay.
You fucking hit me.
There's no damage between our vehicles, though.
I don't give a bro. You
Yeah.
Trooper Wingo rips
Whoa.
open Mr. Donner's door, orders him to exit the vehicle, and places him
Whoa.
under arrest for disorderly conduct. Arkansas's disorderly conduct law, which is found in Section 5-71-207
That escalated quickly.
of the
Wow.
Arkansas Code,
Oh,
states that,
gosh.
quote, a person commits the offense of disorderly conduct if, with the purpose to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk of public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, he or she engages in fighting or in violent, threatening, or tumultuous behavior, makes unreasonable or excessive
Not what
noise
happened
in
at
a
all.
public place, uses abusive or obscene language, or makes an obscene gesture in a manner likely to provoke a violent or disorderly response. Not only was Mr. Donner's conduct not likely to cause a public disturbance, as he was only speaking to Trooper Wingo, but, as we've discussed before on ATA, profanity is protected speech under the First Amendment.
can't climb
Citizens
those.
cannot be arrested for simply using curse words. For instance, in the 2000 case of Nichols versus Chacon, the West District of Arkansas determined that a police officer violated the First and Fourth Amendments
there's
when he
that
arrested an
amazing
individual
Minecraft
under
music
the same
kicking in.
disorderly conduct statute,
I love it.
giving him the middle finger. The court concluded that although the gesture was inarticulate and crude, quote, it represented an expression of disapproval toward a police officer with whom he had just had a run-in. As such, it fell squarely within the protective umbrella of the First Amendment, and any action to punish or deter such speech, such as stopping or hassling the speaker, is categorically prohibited by the Constitution. In reaching this decision, the court reviewed a long line of Supreme Court decisions on the issue, including the 1987 case of Houston versus Hill. In this case, the court held that, quote, the First First Amendment protects a significant amount of verbal criticism and
see if I
challenge
can
directed at police officers.
find my way
Speech
to
is
the
often
cavern I was
provocative and
exploring
challenging,
earlier.
but it is nevertheless protected against censorship or punishment, unless shown likely to produce a clear and present danger of a serious substantive evil that rises far above public inconvenience, annoyance, or unrest. The court also noted that, quote, the freedom of individuals verbally to oppose or challenge police action without thereby risking arrest is one of the principal characteristics by which we distinguish a free nation from a police state. Given the well-established legal precedent protecting the right to use profanity and express disapproval of police officers, a court would almost certainly conclude that Trooper Wingo's actions violated Mr. Donner's constitutional rights.
You're under arrest for disorderly conduct, sir. Ooh. Come on. Take a seat until you can calm down.
Okay.
Why are you doing this?
Ma'am, there was no need for cussing me out. Until he can calm down and act like an adult, he's going to sit in the back of the car.
Let me explain to you. My husband has severe PTSD. Severe. He's a 100% disabled veteran, and he is fucking. That's why I'm here.
You gonna talk to me? You gonna let me talk, or you just want to interrupt me the entire time, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Okay. Until he can calm down and act like a human being and stop cussing me out for no reason.
Jeez.
So I'm trying to explain to him what happened, but he doesn't want to let me talk. Okay. So do you want to let me talk or not?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now. You gonna calm down, or you gonna continue cussing me out?
I just want your badge number and your name.
I'm asking you a simple question. So you're gonna calm
Sure,
down?
I just want your badge number and your name. That's all I want.
Okay. Well, I'm
And
trying
it
to
broke.
And I said
Alright,
sure,
it was worth a
officer.
shot.
Okay. Well,
Back
you're
up I
gonna
go.
cuss me out or not? If
I miss
you're gonna say sure, then I'm not gonna have
I
you
did.
out here and
Darn
cuss me
it.
for no reason. There's no fit to, you're not
Alright.
incriminating yourself, sir.
Here, Trooper Wingo tells Mr. Donner that he doesn't need to invoke his right to silence because he's not being asked incriminating questions. However, the Fifth Amendment applies to a much broader range of interrogation than blatantly incriminating questions, and individuals should exercise their right to remain silent in a variety of situations. In the 1951 case of Hoffman versus United
Hang
States,
on
the Supreme
this.
Court
I
held
can't.
that the right against self-incrimination, quote, not only extends to answers that would in themselves support a conviction, but likewise embraces those which would furnish a link in the chain of evidence needed to prosecute the claimant. The court also determined that citizens cannot be compelled to answer questions when they have reasonable cause to fear consequences from answering the question, or when it is, quote, evident from the implications of the question.
Oh,
in
I
the
didn't know
setting
you
in
could
which
use
it is
deep slate
asked,
to make
that a
stone
responsive answer to
pickaxes.
the question or
That's
an
so
explanation
helpful.
of why it cannot be answered might be dangerous because injurious disclosure could result. Similarly, in the 2001 case of Ohio versus Reiner, the Supreme Court determined that both innocent and guilty individuals have the right to remain silent during police interrogation because, quote, truthful responses of an innocent witness, as well as those of a wrongdoer, may provide the government with incriminating evidence from the speaker's own mouth, and that it is reasonable for an individual to fear that answering police questions might incriminate them. In this situation, answering even a seemingly innocuous question, such as, are you going to calm down now, could have caused Mr. Donner to unintentionally implicate himself. For instance, if Mr. Donner had agreed to calm down and stop cussing out Trooper Wingo, it could have insinuated that his conduct was unreasonable before he was handcuffed, and that he believed that his detention was justified. This is one of the many reasons that citizens should invoke their right to remain silent when police officers attempt to question them, as when an individual answers a question inexactly or incorrectly, it can be used to incriminate them, even when they are innocent.
I'm just trying to ask you
And
a
I
simple
just said
question.
sure. I just want
You're
your
gonna cut
badge
me out
number.
the
I just
entire
want
I'm
your
gonna
badge
get
number
so
and your name.
lost. I already
That's all
am.
I want.
Okay.
I love
This
this
is gonna end
cavern though.
horribly.
I love the new cavern. But like, I have no idea how I'm gonna get back.
I just want him, I'm trying to get him to calm down. But he doesn't want to, he wants to continue yelling at me for no reason, okay?
I said he has severe PTSD.
I don't know if he has malicious intent. He's over here yelling and cussing me. Now I'm just trying to get his information, and he wants to start yelling, stop in the middle of the road for no reason.
I understand, but he was freaking out because you hit
The
our
officer is
car.
blatantly lying.
That's why
Like,
he was upset
we can all agree on
because
that,
you hit
right?
us.
Driver in the back seat started cussing
Blatantly
me out.
lying.
I'm trying to have him calm down.
Okay, but everything's good to go.
Yeah. He just wants to yell and cuss me for no reason, so I got him out and put him in handcuffs.
If you're good,
Yeah.
okay.
I was coming this way. I saw him riding my butt. I didn't really care. Car top still going 60. I'm on overtime. Turned around.
Right.
When I went to turn around, he slammed. Yeah.
Jeez.
I had to turn around. I don't slam on brakes or anything. I hit my brakes, turn around. I knew he was riding my butt. So just turned around. Yeah. Turned around, and when I turned around, he starts laying on his horn. So I was like, okay, so you want to lay on your horn, I'll just pull you over So when I turned back around to come behind him, he moved straight over from the inside lane to the outside lane.
Alright, it's
Moved
official.
straight over and just
I'm
slams on the
lost.
brakes. And I'm just trying to get behind him, and he slams on his brake. And I didn't even have my lights on at that point, but he just stops in the middle of the road.
Trooper Wingo recounts his version of events to a fellow trooper who responded to the scene, which is wildly different from what the dash and cab cams show actually occurred.
That's
First,
crazy.
Trooper Wingo claims that Mr. Donner was following him too closely, but the cab footage shows that Mr. Donner left plenty of distance between the two vehicles while Trooper Wingo was driving in front of him. Trooper Wingo also alleges that he had not activated his emergency lights when Mr. Donner stopped his vehicle, but the cab cam also shows that he did in fact turn on his emergency lights before the collision occurred. Finally, Trooper Wingo insists that Mr. Donner stopped in the middle of the road when Mr. Donner had clearly pulled into the right lane to yield to the police vehicle. What the video footage also shows is that Trooper Wingo started to make a U-turn without first getting into the middle turning lane. Then, when Mr. Donner honked his horn at him, Trooper Wingo turned back around to pull over Mr. Donner and ultimately slammed into Mr. Donner's vehicle when he stopped. Although Arkansas law does allow police vehicles to disregard traffic laws in some circumstances, they are generally required to follow the same rules of the road as everyone else. For example, Section 27-51-202 of the Arkansas Code establishes that certain speed limit laws, quote, do not apply to authorized emergency vehicles responding to emergency calls when the driver
Found
of the
more
emergency
iron.
vehicle
Gonna
is
have a ton of
operating
that,
the
so
vehicle's
that's good.
emergency lights and is
Now I'm
also
just trying to get
operating
out
an
here.
audible signal
I
by
got
bell,
a good
siren,
chunk
or
of-
exhaust whistle if other vehicles are present. However, the statute also explicitly states that, quote, this section does not
Axolotl! I
relieve the
love
driver of an
him.
authorized emergency vehicle from the duty to drive with due regard for the safety
getting
of
him.
all
I don't
persons
care.
using the
Where's-
street, nor shall it protect the driver
where
of
did
any
I-
emergency vehicle from the
Hello?
consequence of a reckless disregard of the safety of others. Given this evidence, a court would probably determine that Trooper Wingo's erratic driving was not only likely responsible for the accident,
go.
but it was also illegal.
Look, Dave. You see these cars, you see the flag, you see the marking.
You.
Our U-turns are legal when we're going out, but they're violating. It doesn't make any difference.
I just need a bucket because I want the axolotl.
Slamming on your brakes. Slam on my brakes. That's his word. That's not
Oh,
mine.
I'm stretching.
That's fine. I didn't slam on my brakes, so.
I mean, it's always been pre-recorded for the 1 minute. It don't matter.
Come on, don't use the last wood, don't use it. You can do it. Yes! Look at that. Perfect.
Trooper Wingo eventually released Mr. Donner without
Oh,
charging
and you
him
make
with
the buckets
disorderly
too.
conduct, and issued him a citation for following too closely and parking on a highway. Because of the traumatic experience they had with Trooper Wingo, the
I want
Donners
you.
decided not to fight these charges and paid the $330 fine.
Where'd
the
you
couple
go?
recently
There you
decided
go.
to retain an attorney
this
to
one's
pursue a
orange,
civil
though,
rights
so I'm gonna
lawsuit
get
against
you.
Trooper Wingo, and Ms. Donner has created a GoFundMe campaign to help cover the costs of attorney fees. You can find a link in the
There we
description
go.
below. Overall, Trooper
Yes!
Wingo gets an
I got
F
him.
for causing a crash by recklessly operating his patrol vehicle,
All right.
intentionally misrepresenting the facts of the encounter to justify his actions, and for violating Mr. Donner's First
Oh,
and
no, this
Fourth
is the
Amendment rights by
deep-
arresting
long,
him for
deep
his
tunnel.
speech. Not only did Trooper Wingo
Ah.
exercise poor discretion by choosing to
Oh,
pull over
so I'm
someone
here.
who honked at him rather than an individual who was potentially
There
committing
you
an actual violation, but he also
Back up.
needlessly
I'm not gonna
violated
try and
several traffic
keep
laws
trying
and
to
caused a low
dig
speed
out that
crash
one
in an effort to do
tunnel.
so. It could certainly
too
be
much
argued
effort.
that the trooper's actions put more citizens in danger than Mr. Donner would have if he actually had been following the trooper too closely. And it
But
would be difficult for anyone, much less a court, to find Trooper Wingo's conduct anything but objectively unreasonable. Trooper Wingo
kinda want
failed
the
to take
axolotl.
responsibility
You know
for
what?
his actions, arrested a citizen for criticizing
I'll get
his
in another
conduct,
bucket.
and was unable to control the situation in a peaceful and professional
I
manner.
have the iron.
This is yet
I have the wood
another
to
encounter
smelt.
where an officer attempted to criminalize behavior that their ego could not tolerate, rather than making a legitimate effort to de-escalate the situation. situation. It seems clear that Mr. Donner has a civil
There we
case on
go.
his hands, and it'll be interesting to see whether he is able to raise the funds to find representation. Mr. Donner gets an A for remaining relatively calm and collected throughout the encounter, verbally invoking his right to remain
And that's the
silent,
way
and for
out.
maintaining
Noted.
a reasonable balance between challenging the conduct of the troopers and complying with their commands. As discussed earlier, profanities are generally
so
protected
cute.
under the First Amendment, especially when directed at police officers, and nothing that Mr. Donner said constituted a violation of any legitimate statute. Considering that he was being accused of following Trooper Wingo too closely immediately after being rear-ended by the trooper, Mr. Donner was
Oh, so I'm
reacting to
waiting.
the
I'll just get
situation
more
in a
cobblestone.
relatively
Yeah.
reasonable manner.
There we
Mr.
go.
Donner also made a point to verbally invoke his right to remain silent, and refused to waive that right despite Trooper Wingo's insistence that remaining silent was not necessary. I commend Mr. Donner for effectively exercising his right to silence,
Oh,
and for having
there's
the
iron
courage
right
to follow
there.
up this
I'm
encounter
blind.
with legal action.
More iron.
A link
That's
to
always
Mr. Donner's
helpful.
GoFundMe will be in the description below if you are interested in helping him retain an attorney. And be sure to give Lackluster your support. You can find a link to his channel in the description as well. Let us know if there is an
I will
interaction
link
or legal
both of
topic
those
you would
into
like
my
us to
description,
discuss in the
as
comments
always.
below. Thank you for watching. And
Always
don't forget
give the
to check out
proper
my
credit.
second channel for even more police interaction content.
Alright, there you have it. I don't want to get lost again. Ooh, lapis. And gold. I can't mine the gold. Alright, well, there you go. Next time, I'll get an axolotl, head back up, and I'll actually finally start the farm. See you there.